capistrano, like a swallow, he's come for the sun. The waves of the ocean roll in with the tide, sending greetings to rivers still on the run. There's people on the main streets, there's people on the back streets, they roll like hot lava from LA. The path right beside him and they all do a double take. This cowboy that's drifting just loose on the straight. He's been a wrangler and he's been a rounder, a lead that's calling the way. Sometimes a winner, but always a gambler trying to learn the tumbleweed spin. The tumbleweed spin. This morning he found himself crying, read that old letter from home. Like the old yellow rose in the old drugstore window, he stood there, he felt so alone. But he tried to tell her way back on the plains how the river must run to its shore. But she wouldn't listen, she turned to her dishes, he turned to that highway outside his door. So here on a beach in old Capistrano, like a swallow, he's come for the sun. The waves of the ocean roll in with the tide, sending greetings to rivers still on the run. The bets are all made and the hands being played, well, it's up to God and to chance. At the end of his days, well, the drifter he prays, the tumbleweed spin will look like a dance. He's been a wrangler and he's been a rounder, a lead that's all in the way. Sometimes a winner, but always a gambler trying to learn the tumbleweed spin. The tumbleweed spin. Here on a beach in old Capistrano, like a swallow, he's come for the sun. Like a swallow, he's come for the sun.
Hi, my name is Brandon. I'm the first son of Bruce Stricker. I wanted to start by listening to one of my dad's songs and reciting a poem he wrote in 1971. Clean the garage. Clean the garage, set the water, thin the beets, feed the cattle. It went on and on. The pay was great. I had my father's love. Something I think about often is when my brothers and I were kids, my dad made us clean the garage every other weekend. That's because during the week, we would borrow his tools and scatter them everywhere as we built skateboard ramps. Eventually, when the chaos had taken over, he would wake us up early and put us to work. Looking back though, it was less about the garage being a mess and more about what he wanted to teach us. When we would come home from riding our motorcycles all day, the last thing we wanted to do was work. But my dad would make us clean our machines until they looked brand new. He'd say, "If you take care of it, it'll take care of you." Our dad would spoil us on occasion. He couldn't help himself. But most of the time, he made us work for the things we wanted, and I'm thankful for that. One of the greatest things my dad taught my brothers and I is the virtue of working hard. And I watched him live that out until the day he died. Some of the best memories I have with my dad is our time spent building and flying RC airplanes. When I was young, I'd play with his old gas airplanes, but we never did a proper flight. We did have one attempt where he got his favorite plane in the air, but his old electronics made it a short flight, sending the plane straight into the side of a barn. But around 2016, we both got into flying electric planes and drones. His place quickly filled up with airplanes finished and not. When my dad got into a hobby, he went all out. Most weekends, my dad and my brothers and I would go out flying. We would usually return with more broken parts than whole ones, but that was okay. I'll never forget those times watching my dad beam with joy as an airplane he built was flying through the sky. It was even better if we could get it back on the ground in one piece. As I'm sure everyone knows, my dad was deeply creative. If it wasn't a plane, it was a song, a poem, a story, or just a colorful rant about the world. He lived to create and express himself. His creativity lives on in his work and in my brothers and myself. I'm thankful my dad passed on his love for music to my brothers and I. He taught me my first chords on his old guitars, which we still play today. Eventually he got us instruments of our own and let us find our own voice. He supported our passions regardless of how he felt about our taste in music or art. I never once heard my dad tell me I couldn't do something. He was always supportive and would do anything to help us succeed. Not many creative people are so lucky to have such supportive parents. My dad was more generous than I realized. He would help neighbors by giving them a job or just help pay their bills. My dad did this regardless of how difficult of a time he was having. It's because at the core of my dad was love. He could be an intimidating guy, but you eventually learned he was a deeply caring person. He hated watching people suffer and would go out of his way to help. I think that's where a lot of his art came from. He hoped you might listen to one of his songs or read one of his poems, and your pain would be eased, even for a short time. Solemnity, 2018. I was thinking today how much of the time from dawn to dusk I spend in solemnity. I smiled to myself that all the people I have known would take the time to wish me well. I cherish your friendship. Like everything else, you never know what you have till it's gone. Thank you. Now back to my perch. My dad was tough, smart, creative, sincere, and loving. Thank you, Dad, for everything. I'm going to miss you so much. We love you. Rest in peace.